I did a little podcast a couple of weeks ago and I was asked who I thought were the top three teams at this World Cup. And I remember saying Australia, England and Pakistan, and everybody's eyes became big like that and they said, we've got a headline here. But what I've seen of India in the last couple of weeks has been very, very encouraging. And I'm tempted to put India in and put Pakistan as the number 4 team on current form at this World Cup. There's a reason for that. The batting is looking very good, but India's batting always looks good. This is a bubblier Indian side and every single batter is in pretty good form. But I think there's just so many options. Now, sometimes you can have options on paper, but in this case, the options that are available are all bona fide options and they're all in good form, especially with the bowling. It's sometimes been an issue with India at World Cups, but the bowling is looking pretty good. I'm going to talk about India in some detail in another block, but if I was you, I'd be optimistic about India. Let's look at everybody else. And I love the way 3 teams are playing at the moment. That's Australia, England and South Africa. And they're backing their batters. They're going out and playing big shots. And they are such exciting batting sides. I mean, you look at that England side. If Johnny Bairstow gets going, he's a fiend by himself. But Bairstow, Malan, Root, Stokes, such a big occasion player. Then Butler, Livingston, Moeen, if Curran plays Curran or Vokes, they're batting all the way down to number 8. And just in their mind, there's an air blowing through English cricket at the moment. And it's an air that doesn't believe in the brake button in the car they're driving. No reverse gear at all. They just keep going. And that is why I think they'll be one of the most exciting sides at this World Cup. It is a fabulous batting side with England. Then you go down that list and say, can people chase down whatever England score? What's England's bowling going to be? And you realize the ball must swing. There must be a little bit of bite in the deck, whether it's Curran with his swing or Willie, whether it's Chris Wokes. And then you see why it's so important that Adil Rashid has a big tournament and they must play Mark Wood. I don't know if they can get 9 games out of Mark Wood or whether somewhere as the World Cup goes along, they will find a way of getting Jofra Archer into the side and then play Wood or Archer or Wood and Archer. If they can play Wood and Archer together, then wow, that is some side. But because Stokes is not bowling, I think there might just be days when they'll search for another bowler because I'm not sure Livingston can bowl 10 or Moeen can bowl 10 or between them they can give 10 to cover up for another bowler who might have an off day. So I think England a little bit with their bowling and that is why I think Australia better serve. With Warner and Marsh, they've got a similar approach at the top of the order that England do. Smith is a different player. He's a very busy player. They're happy to have Labuschagne back and he's learning the ropes in one-day international cricket as well. Then if Maxwell can fire, I think he's such a big player for Australia. If Maxwell can fire, then it makes it easy for Stoinis or Green. I think Green struggles a little bit with the bat. They might prefer Stoinis and then Alex Carey and the bowlers thereafter. Or the bowlers bat with Stark and Cummins. That's not an issue. If all the fast bowlers are in good form, then I genuinely believe they're the 3. As a combination, they're the best bowling unit in Stark, Hazelwood and Cummins. Zampa might have conceded 100 the other day. He's a fabulous bowler. Then the one issue with Australia is if the wickets grip a little bit, if there's a little bit of turn, then Maxwell is the only other spinner they have. They would have liked to have Ashton Agar. They would have liked to have Travis Head. It's a huge call to go into the tournament with a squad of 14. They're giving Travis Head 3 or 4 weeks to recover. Then the plaster comes off. Then they know if he's fit. It's a huge vote of confidence. Australia, a squad of 14. Just on the spin component, they might lag a little. It'll be a big test of Pat Cummins as captain. I like South Africa. I like South Africa because it's a coming together of 6 unassuming but violent batters. And you just look at that side. Quinton de Kock, he's one of the best openers in the world game. And then Temba Bavuma. I love Temba Bavuma. I mean, I just love the way he captained the side. There's something very engaging about him. But he's scoring hundreds too. Then Rassie van der Dusen as that solid number 3. Markram is very good at 4. And wow, in Miller and Klaasen, they have the most destructive lower order batting that you can get. That top 6 for my money is as good as anybody, maybe even the best in the world at the moment. And they're finding a way of keeping wickets intact and being absolutely violent towards the end. I mean, look at Heinrich Klaasen's numbers. He's a fabulous player of spin. If Miller is in, he's hitting the big shots. And it's a scary team to play against if you don't get early wickets. So South Africa have that going for them. And I saw the other day Marco Jansen just came in and he smoked 47 of 23 balls or something like that. He's that kind of player. Now, much like England, what happens to South Africa is you go below that and you see one big hole there. Wickets in the middle. That was Heinrich Nokia's role. He's not there. There's a big load on Rabada. Not sure if Jansen is still a 10 overs bowler. You might require a little bit of Markram. But can Kudzi do what Orangidi do, what Nokia could have done? So I think there's a little bit of load on the bowlers. If the tracks are a little slowish, then with Maharaj and Shamsi, they might actually be better served. But I think they'll struggle a little bit with their bowling. But the batting is wow. Now, what about New Zealand? Always low-key, this time even more low-key than normal. Williamson is 100%, it just becomes a different side. And Williamson over 50 overs is a completely different beast than Williamson over 20 overs. He's a wow player over 50 overs. But I'm just a little worried about how that batting is going to handle itself. And that's why I think Conway is going to be a key player for New Zealand. Latham in these conditions is a fantastic player too. But New Zealand just a little iffy, I think, with their batting. The bowling is aging. Southee is out with an injury. I don't know how much we'll see of him. Matt Henry is a beautiful bowler in New Zealand in England conditions. Will there be enough for him in India? Trent Bolt is fantastic. Is Lockie Ferguson playing in the best form of his life? The spinners are very good in Santner and Sodhi can bat. He's just got to remember to stay inside the crease. But both Southee and Sodhi can bat a little bit. So maybe New Zealand will surprise me. India, New Zealand, always a tricky game. In part 2 of our build-up to this ICC World Cup, we'll look at the Asian countries, at Pakistan and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, what can Afghanistan do, and the team I love, Netherlands. We'll look at that in part 2.